Hello there, this is Big Benedict. We're playing Ghost Recon Future Soldier for the PC on hardcore difficulty. You won't find hardcore difficulty anywhere other than the PC, and it's a gorgeous looking game. It's running at the full specs. Everything's maxed out. However, I won't be rendering these in 60 frames per second because even a 10-minute video would take almost an entire day to upload to YouTube. But this is just the first chapter, and you might be wondering why are you covering this game again? If you're new to my channel, I covered this game last year, and I loved it. It was a fantastic game, but I thought that elite difficulty was, with the exception of the final sequence, which is inexcusable as far as the checkpoint and what you're expected to do. It's not a very difficult game, but they've raised the stakes considerably with the hardcore difficulty, and I'll explain what's happening here. You die easier, so it's a step up from that category on elite difficulty. The sensors that you throw out, they only, to highlight where enemies are located. They last far shorter than they usually do. This was a cutscene here, so you couldn't see how long they last. But I throw a bunch of them. It's the best way to see enemies. What else does this game do? The fundamental thing that separates this from elite, and there's no hiding, that this is on hardcore, because look at the way you can move fluidly, like right through these enemies. There's no clipping on the AI. It's really fantastic. So the main distinction, look at the lighting and the shadows. Everything's just absolutely gorgeous. But with the camouflaging, you can activate the camouflaging, but that's it. If you take a step with it, it deactivates. So it makes a lot of situations where you can move without being seen into really difficult scenarios. So, I thought the game was broken the first time I played it, and then I read up on what this difficulty is all about. It doesn't explain it to you. It's a hard step up, but I assume it's possible. There's also little challenges that you can do mid-mission. Like if you do this sequence within 60 seconds, you'll get a little check mark besides the box. And I have all of them completed except a couple for this chapter, but they're not really what I'm going for. I'm just going for the ride of this campaign. I've painstakingly edited a lot of these things out, the cutscenes, everything. So, why? You also might wonder, why am I doing a guide for this game again? Is there any need for a guide at this time for this game? Absolutely not. But if I asked that question to myself every time I did a guide, I would, if I held myself to that, I would never make any guides on my channel. But this is sort of, I'm comparing this difficulty to not for the actual challenge factor, but just the way, at a later date another difficulty has been added, the same way The Last of Us had grounded difficulty available for people, and I never thought I would play The Last of Us after I beat it on Survivor, excuse me. And then it's kind of a little taunt that they do to you. You want to step up to the plate and try it on a harder setting. They said it was nearly impossible, but of course it was all exaggerated. And yeah, so that's the main difference, and that's why I'm playing this game. There really is no end to my love for this game. I've played and covered GRAW 2 on my channel, but this game, I really wish there was a sequel, but far too many games, like the preponderance of games nowadays, they're first person, and I abhor first person games. Everybody knows that on my channel. I say then, these diamond formation sequences, if you get 10 headshots in the game, you'll clear one of the objectives. But that's one of the challenges that I've always been faced with on my channel, because my channel suffers not only because it gets very little amount of views, but it's partly my fault because of the fact that I'm intolerant of games that are in first person, and I'm always looking for a particular type of game, like a third person game. It seems like it's almost asking too much just to have one made these days. It's actually quite scary to think that the offerings are so scarce that it's sad and frightening at the same time. So that's see how quickly you get killed in this game. Very, very tough mode. I love the sprinting to cover mechanic. Oh yeah, this game has everything going for it. And, I criticize a lot of things in games, like not having a center camera button, this doesn't, but it doesn't really need one. The thing about this game, it has everything going for it. Like, it works so well. Let me know if you agree with me about this. There is no option to alter the not only like the sensitivity of the camera around the person, but the aimer too, the reticle. So you're stuck with this slow sensitivity the entire campaign, and it is unforgivable. I can't imagine why these people would do that. And then I popped in my PS3 copy of the game, and there are camera sensitivity settings. So they made this wonderful port, but they failed to put that in. I think it's mind-boggling, and it ruins the experience. I mean, a lot of people say they won't even play it because of that. But to abrogate the whole situation a little bit, like if that were a situation in like a Gears of War game where all you're doing is shooting, then it would be, it wouldn't be that bad. But in this game, if you were playing Gears of War, then it would stand out a lot more. I'm sorry, I'm trying to focus on what's happening on screen. I was trying to demonstrate a little bit of throwing the sensors, but since this isn't Gears of War, this is more of a you do a lot of gunfights. I mean, what you're looking at here is a typical gunfight, but a lot of the sections in the game, they want you to stealth them. In some instances, it's either stealth or you fail it. Some of the harder missions actually start out that way. So I could brush it aside as much as I possibly can. I mean, there's nothing I could possibly do about it. I've looked in every single option. I've looked on the internet. It's inexcusable, and I'm not going to harp on it, but I just find it, just shame on these people. Shame on them. So we're running up here, we're crouching, and just doing another section up here. The checkpoints on this game are pretty fair. So when you come up here, you want to prioritize the guy with the rocket launcher. If you come up here, this guy will generally be able to get felled pretty quickly, and sometimes your teammates will clear this situation up for you pretty easily. And I'll be going over everything extensively. You notice a lot of parts in this game where I'm fast forwarding things. Like, for instance, this clip will end in a second up here. Anytime I get to the point where we do the mantling over things, see, this isn't fast forward. And then up here, you are given a suppressed weapon, and you're supposed to use it in the next section. Now, I got the I completed the challenge up here, but then it said I failed it, but I got the actual check mark on the challenge. What I did was I killed out. If I could actually speak without stuttering so much, I cleared out all of the sentinels, all of the. I singled out all the people on the sides and on the towers. I think there's 3 of them, But on this section, I'm not going to do it. But I'm not sure how you're supposed to do this without alerting people. The way I did it was I took out all the guys on the side, and then I snuck up on one of the guys lounging on the table. I took him out, and then I threw a frag at the remaining 3 guys, and then I shot the other guy, and it said failure, and I still got the check mark. So maybe I don't really know how. It seems like a pretty rigid thing, but then they let you still have the little achievement, even though you did technically fail at the end. So for completing the challenges, you can get gun parts and things like that. So I might be going back in chapters and doing that, or I might just keep the default weapons. So headshots count in these sections too. So all you need is 10 of them. And I like the visual feedback you get by killing enemies in this game. Like, for instance, you're shooting guys, they'll have a depending on their level of suspicion on you, they'll go from having different colors of the triangle, which is immediate feedback for the player, which is really nice. And the enemies you don't have to shoot a million bullets into enemies in this game. It's just a few and then they're down. But that's the same for you, so you've got to be very careful. So this on-rail section is not that difficult. The one that's in Chapter 3 is difficult, and I was really complaining about it on my Elite Guide, but I've done it on Hardcore mode now, and I did it on my first try actually, so I don't know if I just got lucky or what, but hopefully it doesn't present a huge challenge as I redo this now. So YouTube does allow videos to be uploaded in 60 frames a second, but the only video I've done that to of late is Chapter 8 of The Evil Within. And if you go into Google Chrome, you can actually, if you paste the video's URL into Chrome, you can see the 2 options for 60 frames per second that I uploaded. I have IE11 and Firefox as my other browsers, although I prefer Firefox as my main browser. But the Firefox and the IE11 browsers, they don't have those options to watch in 60 FPS. I can't speak for Windows 8 because I don't own it, and I'm glad to not own it, but it's only on Chrome so far that I've found the ability to actually select between 1080p 60 frames and 720p 60 frames. But that's the end of the chapter. I want everybody to take care, and we'll have a good ride, and this guide will be a success. Thanks for watching.